But it's like, if you don't give him something to prove himself with, how do you actually know what you truly believe, right? How do you really stand by the idea that you really do have faith? You feel me? Hey, so hi, welcome back. If you've been, tuned into this podcast, this channel before, and if you haven't, this is your first time joining us, welcome. So I know you're just like, podcast, what you talking about? So essentially, I am restarting, right, my podcast. It had a previous name before, and I decided, you know what, let me bring this back because it's going to be one of the easiest ways for me to just kind of share everything that's in my head and get it out to you guys. So, tuning in now basically for the first episode of Unearth with Sasha-Shae. And if you didn't know, hi, I'm Sasha-Shae. So, welcome. Today, basically, kind of want to just talk about a sort of topic that has been, heavily on my mind. I've noticed a lot of people as well, just different conversations I've had. They keep kind of mentioning this whole idea of like, they feel quite delayed. They feel as if their life isn't a pivot. And I mean, hey, my hands are up because right now my life feels like it is in a serious pivot. Like, thank God there is a certain level of like clarity, and we'll definitely dive into that because this has been a journey. Needless to say, it has definitely been a journey of, trying to understand like, okay, God, what exactly do you want for me to do? How am I supposed to approach said thing? And have it, gotten it all figured out? No, but it's something where, it's one of those things where you learn in the doing, right? Like you learn and you see and you get more clarity in the doing. And needless to say, there are a lot of times on this journey that it feels like, wow, I'm either being super delayed or I'm basically just being, meant to halt everything and just throw in the towel or like restart or whatever the case is, right? Whatever the case is. So today I kind of wanted to touch on the idea that oftentimes when we feel super delayed, we internalize it that, okay, it must mean we have been denied. And that's not always the case, right? So first of all, let's talk about dreaming and like being bold and, brave and wanting to actually like put or like our deepest desires or deepest wants and needs, that type of stuff to the forefront, right? So in my experience, for me, I have struggled like, okay, let's rewind a bit before I jump ahead. When I was a kid, I actually vividly remember that as a kid, there was nothing that felt like it was off limit to me. And I think that's just kids in general, right? Like we don't think that there's anything that is off limit to us. We don't think that there are things that, it's so scary that, wow, we could never try, we could never attempt to do it. And then, of course, as you get a little older, sometimes life circumstances dictate that you now kind of approach things with extra caution. And it could get to the extreme where it's like, you become afraid, right? You become very afraid to want to dream. You become very afraid to want to try. You become just closed off to the idea of like risk and putting yourself out there, right? And for me, I definitely have seen where that has happened, where, I guess I could say, yeah, I became risk-averse. Like I was not, being willing anymore to be like, oh, let me dream these big, audacious dreams and let me really like have, not to say like, oh, your head's in the clouds, but, like just have myself be like, whatever it is I could imagine, it's possible for me, you know? And one of the things that I had to realize is like, number one, that's the biggest lie and deception of the enemy, right? And number two, God actually wants for us to dream big, audacious, bold, scary, out there kind of dreams. And the reason why, it's because when we when we step into that place of like, we're dreaming so big, we're dreaming so bold, we're dreaming things that seem impossible to us, to others, like even when we talk to them, just like, sis, that sounds kind of crazy, right? God invites us to step into those kinds of thinking, obviously within his reason and within his will, right? Like, we're not saying go out there now and start bringing in like foreign theories and all these crazy things that are going on in our world today, but he invites us to step into that kind of a place because it really pushes us, it kind of forces us to show, like, really prove our faith, right? So a lot of times when we think of faith, we think about it as like, oh yeah, I believe in God and therefore that means I have faith. But it's like, if you don't give him something to prove himself with, how do you actually know what you truly believe, right? How do you really stand by the idea that you really do have faith? You feel me? You understand what I'm trying to say? So I've come to realize, like, the bigger we could dream, the bigger the thing that he has placed on our heart. Because there's a lot of times when God will place something on our heart and we become so afraid of dreaming big, or stepping out into I guess the unknown, or like just leaving our safe and comfort zone, that we will get the thing that he has given to us, where he's just like, oh, I have this for you. And we're just like, oh, that could not be God. That must have been me. That must have been me trying to imagine or like think about or desire. And it's just like, nah, God didn't give me that. That wasn't from him. So we dismiss it. And the crazy thing about it, it's like, when we choose to trust him, when we choose to trust God and really leave everything up to him, then those big, crazy, out there dreams, we realize, because it's so scary for us, we really have to lean on him, right? We really have to start getting to a place where we're praying, we're trying to seek his face to be able to do the thing. So I've realized, needless to say, over this journey that he's had me on, it's like, one, do not be afraid to dream. Two, a part of dreaming big dreams, God-sized dreams, really accepting the dreams that he has given to us, it heavily relies upon us being willing to lean on him and to be obedient to him, right? So another aspect of this that I just want to talk about today really quick, is a part of the dreaming and the I guess you could say seeing the process of seeing it come to life, is that it oftentimes helps us to build character, right? So God will use a lot of the weight and the endurance, just the phases that we end up having to go through as we wait for whatever promise, whatever dream, for these things to come to pass. We basically have to learn patience. We have to learn trust. And I don't know about y'all, but for me, trust is a very big one, because it's like, it's so easy to say that we trust people, or, we trust the thing. But when you really stop and you become introspective about it, it's just like, do you really actually trust? Especially, do you really trust God? So that is something where he will use that season of waiting for the dream or whatever thing, right? To become actualized. He will use those seasons of waiting to really refine your character. Now, the caveat, you have to be willing to submit to said refining, right? Because a lot of us by nature, we're going to want to fight back, right? Me, yeah. We're going to want to fight back. We're going to want to be like, why do I have to face this? Why do I have to go through this? You know, how come these people get to seemingly walk through their journey and it's like, I don't know, milk and honey, and, you know, it's all good over there. But on this end, it's just like, oh my gosh, the struggle is real, right? But basically, what I've learned is like, man, to be honest, just submit to the process, because the longer me hitting the mic, my bad. The longer you take to really, you know, embrace the process of just what he is trying to do in you. And remember, what he's trying to do is to refine your character, right? To get you to lose the pieces and the bits that are just not ideal, you know. So that could look like maybe a time or two people would say something or do something and it quickly could trigger you, right? Whether that's trigger you to become upset, trigger you to become sad, trigger you to just be, you know, feel like you're down or depressed, whatever your trigger would look like. The point is, no one should ever have that much power over us, right? To trigger us to have like a reaction or have some, you know, some level of how would I say, some level of way that we become because of what they did or what they said. Like, no one should ever have that much power over us. So God uses this waiting, refining season to show us like, these are the little things in our character, you know, that are not ideal. And he also uses it to show us like, hey, this is where you measure up, right? This is where you could come up a little higher. So we all know the fruit of the spirit, right? Where it talks about us ideally as Christians having, you know, love, patience, gentleness, humility, self-control, yada, 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 right? And the truth of the matter is sometimes that's very hard for us to really have those attributes and qualities. And of course, the devil knows that, you know, if you're trying your hardest to actually embrace these things, to actually let the Holy Spirit teach you how to do these things, of course, he's gonna come and say, hey, let me throw a little razzle dazzle temptation over here. You know, let me send this brother or sister over here to kind of like throw you off the course. You know what I mean? And it's like, little before you know it, you have to check yourself and be like, wait, what's going on here? You know, I see this is happening. I feel this reaction coming on. So it's like, we have to learn really prayerfully how to become responsive rather than, you know, reactive. But anyways, all that to say, through this journey of us waiting to see where that promise or that that dream is going to be fulfilled, you know, we should embrace how God is using that waiting phase, that endurance phase, to truly help refine our characters. Because what good is it gonna be that, you know, let's say he give you the promise today, but your character is so like, you're so hot-headed, you're so quick to be disobedient, you're quick to not listen, you kind of want to have your own way, nobody can't tell you nothing. You feel me? It's just like, what good would that be for him to give you some promise that he's like, oh, my child, this is for you, but that's your attitude towards things? It's like, you're gonna ruin it. So yeah, no. You know, and just like any good parent, a parent would look at their child and say, you know what, I want to give my child this toy or this gift. But they could see right now that the kid is like, they're almost there, but they're not quite there. There's still a few things that they got to work on. You know, maybe they have to learn to do their homework more. Maybe they have to become better at how they treat their siblings or their friends, or, you know, just something where it's like, you haven't fully shown that level of responsibility that if I, as the parent, give it to you, you're actually going to treat this thing right, and you're actually going to make the best use of what it is that I'm going to give to you. So it's similar where God is like, listen, I want to give you all these amazing things. And yes, I told you I'm going to give to you this, I'm going to make this dream come true. I'm going to fulfill this promise to you. But basically, the work is really up to you. I already have the gift. I already have the thing. It's really up to you now to do your part. So ultimately, that boils down to me to say, hey, if the thing takes long and if it seems delayed, 9 times out of 10, it's probably our fault, right? 9 times out of 10, it probably means there's something we're not doing, something that we are halting on, something that we have yet to actually get right or put properly into motion so God could do his portion of what he needed to do. So I'm also not saying that to like beat down on any of us. I completely understand that life circumstances sometimes could throw a huge curveball in your way. And, it's not like it had anything to do with you. It kind of just happened to you. But I've also seen where the things that happened to us, we have to learn to reframe it and make it that it happened for us. You feel me? Like, we can't stay trapped in the whole idea that, oh my gosh, this thing happened to me and now this is just where I'm at, because that will just trigger a cycle that we don't want to get trapped in. So we really have to reframe it and look at it and say, listen, this thing happened to me, but you know what? It happened for me. And how can I now use this to my advantage to still get to where it is that I'm trying to get to? So the last thing, because I want to make this too long, right? So the last thing I wanted to talk about, it's promises often feel deferred, right? Like, so it's delayed. It feels completely pushed back. It feels forgotten. It feels like, is this really going to actually happen for me? And a lot of the times, we may be in a season where we have to pivot. We may be in a season where we just have to throw in the towel on whatever it is that we thought we were going to be doing or we want to do, or, however it may look for you, right? But again, whatever it is that God himself has really promised to you individually, to me individually, right? It doesn't matter how long it takes for that thing to become realized. One thing we must keep in mind is that because he has said it, it could never be denied to us. You feel me? Like, it will never be denied for us. So with that, let us keep the hope alive and know that just because it's delayed, just because it's deferred, just because it seems forgotten about, does not mean that it is denied. It just means something amazing is being, it's already planted, and it's basically germinating, getting to that point where it is getting ready to birth and, bloom, blossom, flourish, and, allow us to thrive in whatever it is that he is wanting to give to us. So yeah, this is, that was just what was on my mind for today. The idea that we may feel very delayed, but we are not denied. As long as the Lord himself has told us that this is what he will do, either on our behalf, on behalf of someone else that, we may be reaching out to him in prayer for, or whatever the circumstance may be, right? As long as God himself has told you and has confirmed that this is what he intends to do, rest assured that it may seem completely delayed, but it shall never be denied. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up right here. I invite you to hit subscribe. If you're, listening to this on wherever you stream the podcast, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to stay tuned in. You can follow on Instagram. I'm at the Sasha-Shae. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, right? So this is an interactive podcast. You could just make sure you are subscribed to the channel. All the links, info, details, all that stuff for staying connected will be in the show notes. And until the next one, I will see you guys later. Bye.